Going on, Roasters? It's Brian Baldinger with the NFL Network, and you're listening to the Morning Roast with Bonte and Shasky on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, Bonte.
Baldy in 11 minutes. Hey, Shasky.
All right. I want to close the book on Philly. Just the trip in general. All right?
I thought you did that last Wednesday. You guys told me that in the thread. Hey, we moved on from Philadelphia. You guys told me that. You guys keep bringing it back up.
Because I swear to God, we've never been more popular in Philadelphia. Did you know that? Like, we are generating so many clicks in that city, it's unreal. I think that we are probably their biggest enemies ever. Like, I'm dead serious on this.
I'm surprised you didn't use the I and you use the we.
Well, apparently they hate me, but they despise you. That's all I know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, it's probably because you're black, that too. I mean, you know what I mean? The entire city clearly doesn't like certain colors. But that being said, I read this thing called The Liberty Line. I don't even know what the hell it is. It's some random website, one of the many. And your boys over here, Dibs, would be very proud of us. We're an aggregation sensation. They called us crisis actors. Radio hosts Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky from 95.7 The Game appear to be complete frauds. And this loser, Drew Smith, who's looking for clicks because he's some dork in his mom's basement, well, I certainly have never seen two bigger frauds in my life. This is the column. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, who apparently do a morning show, the #1 rated morning show, Drew, for 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. They were in Philadelphia over the weekend. Yada, yada, yada. It goes through all of our different pictures saying that we're crisis actors.
What's this at?
This is called, it's some terrible website, The Liberty Line. All right? I don't even know why.
The Liberty Line.
Yeah. And basically they're saying, people threw things at us in that video, but it wasn't that bad. That's what he said. Dog, I got COVID because people spit on me for crying out loud. All right?
Or did you get COVID? Or did you get COVID from coach of CYO basketball?
It was a catch-all. I'm not sure. I might have got it from all of those areas. But point being, it gets all the way to the end. And again, this guy, and he goes, these two guys have to be the biggest frauds I've ever seen. Give me a break already. Crisis actors. Nothing more, nothing less. Hey, Drew Smith from Philadelphia or from Delaware, from whatever freaking tiny little hole that you living in under your mom's basement. I'm glad that Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky not only are dominating the ratings here in San Francisco, but they're obviously giving you clicks and ratio and interaction that you clearly don't have on your tiny little website or your tiny little Twitter sphere. I'm going to tell you this. I dare Philadelphia to keep coming at me and Bonte because all you're doing is creating more powerful Thanoses in Bonte and Joe. I'm telling you that right now. You're just feeding my ego.
Well, you're not feeding my ego. You're making me angrier. I don't. First of all, let's get it right. We know who has the ego of the show. It's you, Joe Shasky, the butcher. I'm the humble guy of the show.
Okay, time out.
Number two. Number two.
Mirror on the wall. Who's the biggest king of them all?
It makes me angry to hear people people from Philadelphia call me a fraud. When I went out there, we basically punked them all, whoever said anything. So, you know what? Moving on from Philly, if they lose on on Sunday.
Please, God.
Making Sam Lutman call Cataldi's show. I may call the show. We got to get fake names, fake counties in Philadelphia or wherever they're, and we're going to call their show, and we're going to troll the heck out of them. We're going to call them morons. We're going to call them idiots. They'll dump us at some point. But the troll game will be on 100 if they lose that game on Sunday. Oh, I'm posting on their little, what was it, Savage Philly Media Sports? I'm posting on there. I'm tagging WIP, 94 WIP, Liberty Line. Oh, I'm coming at them. It's all good. I'm glad. That's like the 4th article they've written about us.
Oh, they've written so many. And that's why, Bonte, have you ever seen Justice League? Did you watch Batman vs. Superman
I did not.
2?
That was too much. Yeah, that was too much. I wasn't into the Superman verse. Spinotti flipped me on that one. It's too much.
Basically, Doomsday ends up whatever you throw at him, it only makes him stronger. So if you hit him with a nuclear bomb, he ends up getting bigger and stronger. Mm-hmm. So all of these hate messages and these posts that Philadelphia is clearly obsessed with the two of us, it's done nothing but make me feel more confident about my abilities.
Yeah, I can tell.
Has made you powerful.
I mean, we walked into Philadelphia. There was not one person who could go toe-to-toe on sports radio with us.
You know what else made you feel confident? Alan Styles being here the last 3 shows.
Wow.
I love you, Alan. It's Shasky's fault. The insecurity around this place is unreal.
Hey, look, like Tom Brady, I'm not trying to let anybody take a snap, all right?
Damn.
Because it might be my last. I ain't trying to get Wally pimped up in here.
Somebody actually said, Bonte, you're going to get Wally pimped on TV. Listen, the Eric Karabek does a great job, man. I wouldn't be surprised if I was Wally pimped tomorrow. Radio and TV. This thing could end any second now. I know it's coming. The end is coming for your boy. The NBA's trade deadline is Thursday. We have you covered with all the latest news leading up to it. Our trade deadline is brought to you by Boxer Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping get your workers get their lives back for over 40 years. Let me get through the read. Download the Odyssey app, 95.7 Game, thousands of other stations, and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, and podcasts are all available completely free. What the hell is going on around
I'll tell you what's going
man?
on. Top 5 rivalries in sports, all right? Top 5 rivalries in sports. Giants, Dodgers, Red Sox, Yankees, all right? Bonte and Joe versus Philadelphia. Right? It's got to be in there. It's over Duke, North Carolina.
No, and you got Bonte Joe versus Dallas, the Clowns in 105.3 The Fan.
For it to be a rivalry, Dallas has got to win something. I mean, come on.
I mean, where else are we hated?
Everywhere.
L.A.,
Across
Philly, Seattle. Yeah, you can't go to Seattle. I mean,
Seattle, like, really? Like,
the Softy, we had his co-host on, Dick Vane.
Softy, who can't bend over and tie his own shoe. The guy's one step into the retirement home.
Don't make me call Softy. Don't make me get Softy on the show, man. Don't make me get Softy on the show.
So he can just yell and we cannot pot him down?
Gosh. Hey, UC Steve is right. Duke and North Carolina died this weekend. Nobody watched that game. Both teams were unranked.
Yeah, and I also watched Michigan, Ohio State. Oh, my God, what a boring. I've never wanted to turn off college basketball quicker, and I was like, get me to the Pro-Am at Pebble. I couldn't believe it.
Well, listen, I knew something was up in college basketball. Purdue was the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Purdue,
number 1 ranked team in the country. They were playing number 21 Indiana.
Is the guy with the fake hair still coaching them?
Matt Painter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he have like a wig?
No, you're thinking of Gene Cady.
Gene Cady. God,
who coached Glenn Robinson.
Yeah.
That's old school Purdue basketball.
I mean, that goes to show how much Big Ten basketball I'm watching.
So Purdue's number 1 in the country. And you know me, I always love to look at the spread.
Yeah.
Purdue was the number 1 ranked team, playing number 21 Indiana in Indiana, and Purdue was an underdog as a number 1 ranked team in college basketball. And I was like, that tells me everything I need to know about college basketball. There's no clear-cut favorite. All these teams are the same. And when we get to March, there's going to be quote-unquote upsets when really they're all just not that good. That's it.
Yeah,
St. Mary's. How about St. Mary's? I'm willing for them. Let's go St. Mary's. Ready?
I love how you've become a private school supporter.
Oh, I love private schools. SI, I got a lot of love for SI. I got a lot of love for Sacred Heart. I troll Reardon, but a lot of my buddies are, Coach Buck, Dwayne Fontana. There's a lot of guys. Eric Wright, Hef. Jihad,
Joe Shasky.
Reardon doesn't really claim you.
They do.
Forsland told me, it's like, yeah. That's
Forsland.
He told
Forsland, of all people, he's all over me.
I was like, yo, Shasky, one of the most famous, popular Crusader alumni. He goes, he kind of gave me the, nah.
He always gives me a hard time. He refs a lot of our games these days.
We don't claim him. Baldy in 2.5 minutes. Let's go to Eric in Millbrae.
Hey, Eric.
Talk about the Dubs without Stephen Curry.
Here comes 2 unfiltered minutes. Let's hear it, Eric.
Damn.
What's up, fellas?
Eric, what's up, man?
Watch. Eric, I want all 17 takes. Let's hear it.
Nah, bro. What's up, man? I was at the game last night. Great win. Clay, incredible as usual. Poole, he's got to be the guy here without Curry. And I hope he can continue because he balls out. He just has that different swag and confidence level when he starts here against a pesky OKC team, with the SGA, who's balling right out of his mind. And let's be honest, they're not that far off from where the Warriors are right now. So I know they can take care of business at home, but my concern is going on the road here, being one of the worst teams, even with Curry, can they at least stabilize and be 500 until he's back? Because, guys, they can't afford to be drop out. The Warriors' goal going forward has got to be stay out of the play-in and stay out of the AC, because if they have to face Denver in the first round, I don't care what anybody says. This is a different Denver team, and I don't think they can beat them. You want to be in that 7th spot or 6th spot. You want Memphis or Sacramento. Last point, guys, everybody's talking about trade value. James Wiseman really doesn't have any trade value. The one guy I want that's out there that can help the Warriors right now is Jay Crowder, and obviously they don't have anything to give up for him.
And Phoenix won't trade him to the Warriors.
Yeah.
Phoenix will not trade him to the Warriors. Man, Shasky, Sherry and Richmond, man.
Hi, Sherry.
Man, what's this guy I'm talking to? Sherry, what's going on? What's up, Sherry?
Hi. I'm sorry, I've been on hold for a little while, but I heard a mention of the St. Mary's, the respect level of St. Mary's rugby program.
Yeah.
My son is a product of the St. Mary's rugby program. His name is Alex Glover. He went to St. Mary's and played rugby, and now he's a professional rugby player on the Seattle Seahawks, and
Really?
they work hard. I just want to give a shout-out to Coach O'Brien. I mean, they're a great group of folks over there, and they, I just always want to give a shout-out when I can.
Sherry, you shout out whenever you want to right here on the Morning Roast. Shout out to the St. Mary's rugby team. Shout out to the Gales. Shout out to Randy Bennett. Shout out to JP Money. Shout out to all. I think JJ with the St. Mary's too. He's at the game. Shout out to everybody at St. Mary's. Let's go, Gales. Let's go, Gales.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to USF as well.
Do you know what a Gale
Mr.
is,
Rooney.
Bonte?
I don't know what a Gale is. Mr. Rooney, Kate Rooney's husband, Kate Rooney from Crown 4, who we were on the flight with, and we saw her already Turbino. Her husband used to be at USF. Now he's at Cal. Maybe he's having some second thoughts about that, but shout out to him as well, Mr.
I
Rooney.
believe a gale is a gust of wind, but I don't know if that's necessarily the same meaning for what St. Mary's is. Yeah, I believe it's a gust of wind.
Somebody look that up. Gale. What the hell is a gale?
Per Google, a member of the Gaelic-speaking peoples inhabiting Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man.
Oh, because it's Gael?
Correct.
Yes.
Not the way that I spell. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
All right. Go Gales. And go Baldy, too. Baldy.
Oh, my God,
Hold on.
Baldy.
Did Baldy just get a workout in?
Yeah,
He's got the do-rag on.
100%.
What the hell is going on with Baldy? Let's hit the intro. Baldy joins us courtesy of the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. He joins us every single Tuesday during the football season at 7:30 a.m., and he's here again. Looks like he had a workout. But first, before we get this conversation started, Baldy, I want to wish, and Shasky, I'm sure, wants to wish Mama Baldy a happy 90th birthday. I mean, what a trooper. Baldy, she raised 3 kids into the NFL. She's got a clan there. Shout out to Mama Baldy, man. Happy 90th.
I need to have a memory like my mother. My mother's memory at 90 is way better than mine. Like, that would be good for this industry that I'm in. Like, if I could have a recall button the way she does. She's doing good, though, man. We had a good time the other day. They're going to have an official party on Saturday. But I'm going to be at the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to be able to get there to it. So I figured I'd take her out since I'm in Los Angeles anyways.
Right.
And, have a good night. So it was fun.
All right, now I need to hear...
Never met a Chardonnay she didn't like. That's for sure.
My kind of woman. Baldy, now I need to hear a story from your youth of your mom stepping in with you and your brothers fighting at some point or in a sports game. Like, give me the wildest mom story that just epitomizes who she is.
Well, I remember, back in the day, there was no remote control for the TV. And, you have to get up and change the channel. And, there's basically 3 channels. So one day, me and my brother, Big Rich, we got into a fight over, what we were going to watch. And he ended up, it was a 25-inch portable TV. He picked the TV up and he threw it at me. All right. So now the TV is, we have one TV in the family. And my dad was out of town. So my mother hears this fight. She hears this thing break. In the living room, and the TV is smashed into a million pieces. And all my mother said was, there better be a new TV on that stand before your father gets home. And that was it. That was end of story. Like, no, like, don't, of course you're going to clean it up and everything. There's better be a new TV on the stand. When Dad gets home, there's a new TV. That's how she handled that.
Damn. Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast, courtesy of the Bud Light guest line. Let's get to Super Bowl 57 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. And Brendan Ayuk, who had a fine season with the Niners, was on a podcast with our buddy Brad Graham of SF Niners. And he basically suggested that the Niners passing game would have exposed the Eagles had Brock Purdy not gotten hurt. So could the Chiefs passing game expose the Eagles. We can skip over what Brandon Ayuk said because I'm not buying that. I don't like hearing that after losing 31-7. But can this Chiefs passing game expose what the Eagles defense presents?
Well, I mean, you do have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce there. Kelce is the best tight end we have seen in a long, long time, maybe, since Tony Gonzalez, as far as just being able to get open after the catch, all that stuff. I mean, he's as good as we've seen. And Mahomes is just, he's the best player in the league. So, I mean, they could do a lot with those two. I heard what Brandon said. I don't know. I know he was getting open when Brock got hit and he got hurt. And, maybe he completes it to Ayuk. I don't know. It was 6 plays into the game to say that, their passing game would have exposed them. I haven't seen anybody expose the Eagles' passing game. I'm not saying the 49ers couldn't, but it's a little, after 6 plays to be able to make that declaration, it was a little strong. But I don't know that the Chiefs have what it takes right now. I mean, they were really down receivers in the AFC Championship game. And so I don't know what Kadarius Toney is going to be like, or Juju Smith. McCole Hardman is out. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had one of his best games I've ever seen him play, and that helped. But I think.
Lost Baldy there for a second.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I kind of like those guys in the back end.
Baldy, I was seeing a bunch of statistics floating around the internet over the weekend. It feels like to me, like when I think of the great duos in sports, right, and for the NFL specifically, Rice and Montana, Gronk and Brady. I would even throw Edelman and Brady in there in that same category. Is Kelce Mahomes, is it going to be the greatest one of all time when it's all said and done?
But they keep going like this, it will be. I don't know how that broke up. I think Rice and Montana still have the most number of postseason touchdowns or something. I mean, I just saw a stat the other day, same thing, Joe. But yes, they could go down because neither one of them are slowing down. Mahomes is 27 years old. He's got another decade in front of him. And, I heard people say this offseason, Travis Kelce is slowing down. I'm like, all right, tell me what game film I should go back and rewatch where he's slowing down because I don't see it. I mean, I see him run routes that no tight end has ever run. Put anybody up there. His route running is elite. And then his ability just to be able to get open is second to none against any zone coverage. And Mahomes' ability to find him is second to none. So before it's all said and done, Joe, it might become the most lethal combination we've ever seen. And, look, I mean, it's not like teams are going to pass less going forward. They're only going to pass more. And so, you're only going to, stats and records, they're only going to keep falling between those two.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game, courtesy of the Bud Light Guest Line. Joins us every single Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. During the football season, of course. Baldy going to be in Glendale, Arizona this weekend for Super Bowl 57 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. So how did this Chiefs defense with 4 rookies in that secondary, Chris Jones and Frank Clark up front, how do they slow down this Eagles offense that can do a little bit of everything? Pass it, run it. They can do it all. Physical, finesse. They got the total package offensively.
Yeah, they haven't seen an offense like the Eagles have. However, those 4 rookies that played in the secondary, and Joshua Williams is one of those 4 rookies because L'Jarius Sneed got hurt in the 4th play. I mean, those guys took the ball away from Joe Burrow twice. And so Brian Cook and Jalen Watson and, Trent McDuffie, I mean, it's impressive to see what those 4 rookies did. And so I wouldn't put I wouldn't, like I thought Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins would just eat those guys up, and they didn't. And so that's a credit to Spags. That's a credit to Andy Reid, the coaching staff, to have, they played 6 rookies on defense in that game. Karlaftis started at end. It's remarkable what they were able to do. But, it all starts with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, and not just his ability to run it and scramble and throw it. I mean, you saw what he did to the linebackers of the 49ers. He put them in the deep freeze. I mean, Fred Warner's is as good a linebacker as there is in football. The tandem of him and Greenlaw are as good as there is in football. And they were frozen at times by what the fakes in the backfield were doing to him. Honoring the RPOs, run-pass option, the quarterback option, the quarterback keeper, and then the throws off of all of it. And so what you have to defend is the decision-making of Jalen Hurts. And that's not easy to do. And so that's the job and the task that Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs, is up against. You could say, well, you got Chris Jones and you got Frank Clark, and all those guys are real good. Mm-hmm. But I saw Nick Bosa not have really any impact in that game against the Eagles. And so that he might very well win the Defensive Player of the Year, and yet he was really kind of hamstrung between the tackles of the Eagles, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, and then just the way the offense functions and what you have to prepare for. And so it's a lot. And if the Eagles play at their best, I don't think Kansas City can slow them down.
You know, staying on that same quarterback theme, you see, obviously, Jalen's been doubted at every single turn. I mean, Philly fans booed him when he got drafted. I didn't even know if he was going to play quarterback at the next level. And Mahomes, I know he was drafted in the first round, but there are a lot of people that had question marks on him. When you look at both players and where they're at, and they're so different from each other, how are other teams going to evaluate quarterbacks moving forward using these two as examples?
Well, to start with, Joe, the NFL can only take what the college game is giving you. So if you're looking for the next Tom Brady, I don't know that, anybody like that exists. So most offenses, and you look at, some of the quarterbacks coming out in this draft, I mean, most of them are dual threat quarterbacks. Most of them have been running option type plays, not just in college, but in high school, and that's how they were recruited. And so, that to begin with, that's what they're giving us. Now, Jalen is just an unusual person. He's 24 years old, but he's about as mature as you can possibly get at 24. And it's not like he's just this program robot. I mean, he's a real guy. He's just so disciplined and mature. You can't get him. It's like trying to get Tom Brady off the spot. You can't get him off the spot. You're never going to get him to be out of character or to misstep or not do the work or not do the preparation. That's just who he is. And so to me, Joe, when you look at these two guys, the thing that they both have in common is they're both exceedingly mature. And so how they conduct themselves is something that you should really look at when you evaluate these guys. I know they try to, but you can't conduct yourself in a manner any better than these two guys do. And that's where it starts. It's just the character and the maturity of the two players.
Yeah, no doubt, Baldy. Very impressive. Jalen Hurts, everything you've been through, everything you just said there. Very impressive young man. Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Looking at the 49ers here, is Jimmy Garoppolo, with all the uncertainty to Brock Purdy's elbow, to the uncertainty of Trey Lance and the lack of experience, would Jimmy Garoppolo be their best option at quarterback next season, Baldy?
Well, we didn't, at this time last year, he was out the door, and there he was starting. And so we could go through the entire offseason again, just like you did last year, and go, in July or August, you go, he's our best option. It's possible unless some team, goes and I don't know how that whole deal would go down, but he could very well right now, Bonte, be your best option because I think this thing with Brock Purdy is going to get really strange to me. Not strange, but just from the standpoint of, do you go get the Tommy John surgery? If you don't need Tommy John surgery, whatever method you do, whether it's rehab, a different type of surgery, does that fix it? And then if you go that method and it doesn't fix it, then you got to go do Tommy John. We've seen this happen to baseball players, Joe.
Right.
And, they end up losing 2 years. So, the evaluation of what gets them as close to 100% as quickly as possible, I'd like to see how that all goes down because I don't really understand how it all goes down. And I'm not trying to play doctor here at all. Right. But that's a tricky thing. It's like Jimmy waited until mid-March last year to get his surgery. Mm-hmm. And he thought, okay, maybe rehab and everything. And, and that's what really messed him up and why he wasn't ready until August because of the decision that he made up until mid-March. And so with Brock Purdy, it could go a whole lot longer than that. And then you go, okay, Trey Lance, when's he ready to take over? And can he do it? Nobody knows if he can do it. We don't know that he can't, but we don't know that he can. And we saw how the offense hummed. It looked as good as any offense we've all watched in a long, long time for 7 straight weeks with Brock Purdy up until the injury. And that's the standard. Mm-hmm. That's how we want it to look. That's how you want it to look. That's how you get all the people that they employed, and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. That's how we want it to look. And he made it work better than anybody has made it work.
Well, let me pause there on Brock Purdy, because I do. Again, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, Jimmy looked good in the 5 games at the end of 2017, and we can argue, did Brock look better? Was the personnel better? Like, we can argue till we're blue in our face. What is sustainable? Is seeing the field the way that he did and distributing it the way he did, is that a sustainable thing that he can carry over for years to come? Or is because I do worry that maybe we've seen the best of him, or that he regresses or something like that. When you watch the film, are these traits sustainable? You get what I'm asking? Yeah,
no, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, it was just I don't know, beginner's luck or something that's just going to fade away. It looks like it's sustainable to me, Joe. Like his movement, the way he sees the whole field, the way that people can now say, well, he doesn't get the ball out in time. Well, he does.
Yeah,
he does get the ball out in time. Could he have gotten the ball out a little sooner? Before he got hit, probably. But I wouldn't put Tyler Kroft on Hassan Reddick either. So you can always go what if, but I think it's sustainable, Joe. If he's healthy, I think the way he sees the field, the way he played, defense did a lot of things to him. He took hits. They blitzed him. He saw a lot in those 8 games, and so I think that if he's healthy, that he could come back and play at or near the same level, if not better, because he's only going to get more experienced.
Baldy, we talk about Coach Shanahan a lot. Kyle Shanahan, I believe, maybe had his best season as head coach of the 49ers when you consider 3 quarterbacks went down for him. And by the time the NFC title game was over, he was working out Josh Johnson. What is one thing you want to see Shanahan improve at or on going into the next season?
I can't really I understand the question, Bonte. I don't know that there's one thing. Everybody's going to say, well, he's got to get over the hump. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. He's going to bring up the Super Bowl in Atlanta. He's, a lot of stuff is going to always travel with him. He just has to break through. He just has to break through and win. That's everything
all that's
goes
missing?
Away when you win one.
Yeah.
Bill Cowher took 15 years to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
We don't think of Bill Cowher as any kind of a losing or less than substantial coach. But it took him 15 years to win a Super Bowl.
Baldy, it's weird because you brought up the Super Bowl, and I was just arguing with somebody about this the other day. I think John Kincaid was out there doing morning radio in Philadelphia. He's talking about, oh, man, Shanahan, he can't win a big one. He blew the Super Bowl. I've never seen an offensive coordinator get blamed for losing the Super Bowl in which that team led 28-3. Like, it's kind of asinine to me. So I'm kind of with you there when they say Shanahan can't win a big one, because he's won a lot of big ones, and he's blamed for the Super Bowl. He's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, look, I live in Philadelphia. I heard all of the faults of Andy Reid, clock management, all these things. He lost the New England Patriots in a Super Bowl game. Donovan McNabb didn't play well. That was Andy's fault somehow, He drew up great plays. They didn't execute him in that game. But, it took, how many years for Andy Reid? 20 years. Basically for him to break through. And now we look at, we always thought Andy was a great coach, but we think of him even differently now. Now he's been to 3 and 4 years and has a chance to win, his second and all that. Sometimes you just got to fight through all this stuff. Tom Landry went a long time without winning a Super Bowl. He started in 1960, didn't win his first Super Bowl for over a decade in Dallas, yet he's a Hall of Fame coach. So sometimes to answer your question, like, you have to break through and win it to get through. Bud Grant was a great coach, lost 4 Super Bowls. You could go on and on and on about certain coaches.
Right. Marv Levy.
Marv Levy in Buffalo. You could do all that stuff. They have to win to kind of break through.
Sticking on that Andy Reid thing, because obviously the storyline heading into this Super Bowl, Sirianni versus Andy Reid, Philadelphia versus Andy Reid again. If Andy wins this one, I don't think he needs it, but if Andy wins this one, he's cemented as, at least since 2000, since Belichick's rise, he's the second best coach in the Belichick era, no?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Right?
And if you just factor in all the coaches that he has developed, head coaches and coordinators that he has developed along the way, we're approaching 10. Wow. Mike Holmgren, Bill Walsh, none of those guys, nobody has ever put as many head coaches in the league. You just go through them, Spags and Matt Nagy and, Ron Rivera. You just go through the list of guys, Marty Morningweg. Jack Del Rio. All these guys, came through Andy Reid's system. And so Jacques Del Rio was with Brian Billick, but he's got almost 10 coaches.
Right.
And who knows if Eric Bieniemy, gets a job and whatnot. So the way that he has consistently won, the way that he has helped the coaching and coaching minorities get jobs, I would say next to Belichick, like he's the second best that we've seen.
Are you rooting for him or are you rooting for Philadelphia? Because we know you love Lane Johnson. Like, I'm telling you right now, I need Philly to lose this game badly. All right? And I want Mahomes to get that second Super Bowl, even though he annoys me. Baldy, he's a great player.
Philadelphia's public enemy number one on the board Ross from here on out.
I understand. No, look, there's no doubt. I get all of that. But Patrick Mahomes is my favorite player in the league and has been since he got in the league. So I root for Patrick Mahomes just because I think he's just the difference maker every time he steps on the field, and he's proven that. But I do want to see, praise in Philadelphia. They're kind of few and far between. Now, we had one 5 years ago. We had one for the Phillies, and you got to go back to the A's before there was anything else. Those parades are pretty legendary. So I can't lose right now, honestly.
You can't lose at all. You know what? I don't know how the Philadelphia Eagles lose this Super Bowl, honestly, as much as I'm rooting for Kansas City.
I agree with you.
The trenches, Baldy. You know me. I love talking offensive line with you. It bores a lot of people, but the trenches, they are so good up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It's not even funny. And I just don't see how they don't dominate the line of scrimmage.
It's interesting, Bonte. In that championship game against San Francisco, they dressed 10 defensive linemen. And they played all 10.
Yeah.
All right, so we all talk about Hassan Reddick and his play, or Javon Hargrave, or a sack here and
Fletcher.
78 sacks. I mean, they've got 10 healthy, rested defensive linemen. That used to be the formula for the 49ers. I didn't see it this year. They have to rebuild that front. I didn't see the same tenacity and the same, shark bites that the Eagles are giving you right now. And so that's the formula. They are, if you just look at the backup offensive lineman, Andre Dillard is a first-round pick. Okay, Jack Driscoll has played guard and tackle and played a lot of games in this league. They drafted, in the second round this year, Jason Kelsey's replacement. I mean, they actually have depth with guys that have played on the offensive line, not to mention 10 defensive linemen. Robert Quinn played in that championship game against you. Robert Quinn has over 110 sacks in his career. He's just sitting there waiting to make a play in the Super Bowl. That's all he wants. And he'll probably, sail right into the sunset, after 12 years. So they build their team the right way. That's what you got to do.
Dude, Baldy, Shasky and I watched the Eagles defensive line warming up right in front of us, and we go, oh, boy, look how big these guys. They got the rookie from Georgia. What's his name, Davis? He's rookie from Georgia. It's huge. Huge. He's about to play in back-to-back championship games. Last year, Georgia, and, of course, this year for the Eagles. We watched them warm up, Shasky. They were massive.
They looked humongous, Baldy. They looked like they were part of the WWE circus.
Well, I mean, there's Ndamukong Suh has never missed a game in his NFL career.
That's
ever.
Crazy.
It's nuts. Like, he's been on his fourth or fifth team now, but he's never missed a start. Now, he's been suspended, but he's never missed a start because of an injury. Linval Joseph was picked up midseason. Anybody could have picked him up. Anybody.
He's humongous.
Like, you can't move him off the nose.
No.
You just go through the depth chart. They've drafted Milton Williams and different guys, but there's Fletcher and Brandon Graham and Javon Hargrave could start for any team in this league at defensive tackle. Not to mention what Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat are doing right now.
Oh, unbelievable, man. So it sounds like you got Philly. I've got Philly. We're praying for Kansas City.
I'm taking Kansas City.
Yeah, I hope Kansas City wins, Baldy, but it's going to be tough to take down this Eagles team, this front. And, of course, Jalen Hurts is playing at a high level. We haven't talked about the receivers.
Oh, and Baldy, I have Doritos winning the day. I got Doritos winning the commercial day.
Oh,
that's what I'm going to pick them. That's my early favorite to win.
Baldy, are you a big commercial guy during the Super Bowl? Because I go to the bathroom. I go pick up chicken wings. I go pick up the nachos. I don't really care for the commercials.
Well, last year I did the game, and so for Sky Sports in London, and so we came to me in this, during all the timeouts. I didn't watch one commercial. I just talked about how to stop, Cooper Kupp or whatever the deal was at the time.
No doubt. Baldy, we'll talk to you next week to wrap up this football season. Yep. Enjoy. Glendale, Arizona should be a good time at the Super Bowl.
Mother.
And happy birthday. Happy 90th to your mom.
God bless.
Yeah, man.